It's the Rangers Journal Night.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. My name's Ryan. I'm joined by Jack and Yuri today, and we are here this afternoon to talk to you a little bit more about the Rangers target, Turgeman. We did an interview yesterday, myself and Billy, with an Italian journalist called Luca Bendoni, and Luca was kind enough to let us know that the interest in Turgeman is very concrete. Maccabi, Tel Aviv and Rangers are talking to each other, and the player is keen to come to Ibrox. So I'm going to pass over to Yuri, first of all, and he's going to give us the lowdown and tell us everything he knows about Dor. So Yuri, thanks for giving your time today. How are you getting on?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Big pleasure always to speak with fans and bloggers and podcasters and people who likes football from across the world. We are just ending, I would say, a very tough and bizarre 2 weeks here after the war with Iran. But if I'm speaking to you guys, so I'm privileged. There are many people who didn't make it. So, let's speak some football. For me, it's like an oxygen. And these days, I'm happy to be here with you.
Definitely. So I'll start with what I've seen, and I'll ask Jack to give his comments as well. So for what I've seen of Turgeman, he looks a very difficult player to play against. He looks as if he's big, he's strong, he's fast. He likes to run at you. He likes to run wide. But probably a small criticism of his game that I do have, he looks as if he needs to work on his finishing. I think his finishing is maybe something that needs a bit of work on. What would you think yourself? And I'll let Jack come in as well if he's getting any comments on that.
Yeah, for sure. I think you were spot on in part of the things you said. I think Dor, is a tremendous striker. Yeah, he's a tremendous prospect for a striker. He's maybe the most complete prospect for the modern striker in Israeli football. And while I'm saying that, he's very strong physically. He's not small. He has size. He knows how to use his back. But also, as we see in football these days, he knows how to run backwards and free the spaces for the wingers and the other midfielders and the number 8 and the number 10 to get into the space. He knows how to attack the space himself, in order to create opportunities for himself, even from deep inside his own half. I don't know if you know it, but his goal, one goal of the season in Israel, when he runs basically almost 75% of the field, going through 5 defenders and finishing. And overall, I think he's very intelligent inside the pitch. It's like, you remember this expression about, it, I guess, in Scotland, fox in the box, or an animal in the box. So basically, I think Turgeman is kind of an animal in the pitch. He's very unpredictable, and he's very versatile too. He can play also on the wing, left wing. I wouldn't say it's his best position. Obviously, he's a forward, he's center forward, he's a striker, but he's very versatile. And I think his technique is sublime. His positioning is good. It's true that his finishing can be improved a little and become more, I would say, clinical. He needs to work on that. But I think Scottish football is a fantastic place for him to do so. I think his speed, his physicality, and the versatility of his play can become quite a good asset for Rangers in Scottish football. As I've seen in Aberdeen this season, I don't know if you've seen Uday Dabag, the Palestinian striker, also very intelligent player who knows how to use his abilities, his advantages, and to create from nothing, and then to help his teammates and to play in several positions in attack. I think Turgeman is, I would say, more promising and more talented than Dabag, obviously younger. And yeah, I've been watching him since he's making his first steps in professional football. I watched from the sideline what he did for the Israel under-21 side against Germany in the 2023 Euros under-21 in Georgia. It was amazing. He simply took Jan Bisek, today Inter Milan center back, and completely diminished him, eliminated him with a clever move, clever movement, a clever motion, and finish with a lot of style. If he will land in Ibrox, I think the Rangers faithful will get used to it, because one thing is that, yeah, he need to improve his finishing, but when he does finish, he do it with style. The ball curves on the right speed. It always go. It's always surprising, and it's very impressive, I think. Bear in mind, this guy had a really good opportunity to sign for Benfica after that Euro in the beginning of not this season, the season before. His family and his father was, I would say, didn't know how to manage this situation well, and they missed this opportunity. They decided to stay in Maccabi Tel Aviv, and then it came some would say an expected downgrade a little bit in the beginning of the season, but eventually his talent, and this season with Žarko Lazetic, the coach of Maccabi Tel Aviv, he was his guy, so the team really worked for him, and he also improved the way he take penalty kicks. He doesn't miss penalty kicks. It's a good statistical, I would say, advantage for an attacker and a player in general. And yeah, 20 goals and 6 assists in all competitions this season. It's impressive.
Definitely. Jack, I'll let you come in. Maybe you get anything you want to add into that?
Yeah, so I really like, obviously, what I've seen of Turgeman has been YouTube clips, and they're always the best bits. But listening to yourself talk about him is very promising. You do say unpredictable. We have an unpredictable striker at the moment, so hopefully he can be slightly more predictable than Cyril Dessers. But the attributes you've mentioned, I think, will stand him in good stead in Scotland. Being physical, being strong, it's something you need, because a lot of the central defenders we have against us are very physical. What you've said, I don't know, just looking at the guy himself, it reminds me a bit of a boy, Bojan Miovski, who was at Aberdeen, who excelled quite well in this league. So I think he has the right attributes, and from what you're saying, just fills me with even more confidence.
Yeah, for sure. I think, he's really keen on the move. And I think players who want to go to a certain club, and the negotiations are advanced and everything, and eventually it takes place. Usually, it turns out good. He's ready to go out. He was ready to show what he's capable of doing in European football. And basically since October 7 in Israel, Rangers is very popular. Not only because of Rangers is a nice club, but also because of your city rivalry with Celtic, which apparently doesn't like Israel and Israelis these days too much, or in general. So I think it's a good match also in the in the cultural and then in the general atmosphere vibes, because I think Rangers can be, if Turgeman will be successful at Ibrox, Rangers will really become a fan favorite here in Israel, and you're going to feel it.
I would just have a question on that. Obviously, there's going to be these games away to Celtic, whereas in Israeli, he will probably be up against quite a lot of shouts from the stands. Is he the kind of guy that would rile him on, or is he the kind of guy that might have an effect on him? Would it be a positive or a sort of negative effect if he is getting quite a heavy bit of abuse from oppositions?
Yeah, I would say that I wouldn't say Turgeman is an indifferent personality. Yeah, he's not like someone who's just standing there, doesn't get what is going around him, doesn't understand what's going around him. But I do think that he has the nerve. He knows how to be cool when it's needed. I believe that if the players, he has this thing that sometimes if a defender or a defensive midfielder get into a direct fight with him, so he'll be there. He will show his presence, right? He's not indifferent, but I think that he knows how to handle a hostile environment. He played for Maccabi Tel Aviv, both in derbies against Hapoel Tel Aviv, against Maccabi Haifa. These matches are really, I'm not saying I'm not really downgrading nothing, but these are massive matches here with a lot of hostile environment, pyrotechnics, and a lot of 30,000 fans screaming and cursing you. Yeah, he knows how to handle it. I'm from this part of his personality, I'm not worried at all. I think he's in many ways you can define him as a silent killer. He will know how to silence hostile atmosphere at Celtic Park for sure.
Thanks, Yuri. So I was just coming off of mute there.
Yeah.
I believe a figure somewhere around about £5 million, around about €6 million is being agreed. Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah, this is what we are hearing here too. Maccabi Tel Aviv in recent years became a massive producing club. They sold Oscar Gloch to Red Bull Salzburg. I don't know if you are following the Club World Cup these days, but he scored a good goal there, and his name is being linked to Arsenal, Manchester United, and stuff like that. So Turgeman is the next guy. They also sold the Parfait Goyagon to Charleroi, but Turgeman and Milson to Zvezda Zvezda, the Red Star Belgrade. But Turgeman is this summer main export for sure. The club also understand that this is the summer for him to go to Europe, and also this is the summer for them to make the best profit out of this player. So maybe they expected a little bit more. They sold Gloch for €7,250. But I think also Rangers can appreciate that the war took place. The season is getting closer, and all this unpredictable future that we are living here maybe will help. Okay, it's not 7, it's not 6, it's €6 million. It's okay. Let's go on with the deal. I think this is the sum that we are hearing. But I wouldn't be surprised if in the last, let's say, in the last leg of the negotiations, we'll see maybe a little bit more Rangers are doing the extra step to secure it, because I think you need the striker. And I think the striker want to go and Maccabi Tel Aviv want to sell. So it will maybe, I see it between 5,750 to 6,250. This is in euros. This is what I'm seeing right now. Yeah.
Brilliant. You got a question, Jack? You want to ask me?
Yeah, just I think that's probably about right. I don't see us. The most money we've spent in the last 5-6 years was the £7 million on Ryan Kent. So I'd probably say the 5 to 6 million region is accurate. But you were mentioning obviously a lot of these players coming out of Israeli football. Do you think this could be a new market Rangers could look at? Because there's been times where people have looked to Scandinavia, or Celtic have looked at Japan and got players from there. Do you think Israel could be the next sort of hotspot for young players coming to Europe?
Yeah, I would say so. It's already taking place in some manner. Last summer, Maccabi Haifa sold Anan Khalaili to Union Saint-Gilloise. This guy was playing right wing here and forward. In Saint-Gilloise, they turned him into a right defender, right center, right wing back that goes throughout all the wing. And the guy finished in the Belgian league best 11 of the season, won the first championship title with Saint-Gilloise after 90 years. And when you connect this success of Khalaili with Gloch at Salzburg, with Turgeman, and there is another negotiation Maccabi Tel Aviv is having right now on Roy Revivo, the son of Chaim Revivo, if you remember the name, with FC Copenhagen from Denmark. So for sure, there is a movement, there is an interest in this specific generation in Israeli players. Also, the center back of this successful young national teams of Israel, Stav Lemkin, just signed for Twente in Eredivisie in the Netherlands. So when you look at the span of the past few years, since I would say 2023, so the Euros under 19, we finished second. The under 20 World Cup, that was supposed to take place in Indonesia, but because Israel was participating, they decided to withdraw, and the tournament moved to Argentina. We finished at the third place, and again in the under 21 Euros in Georgia, the same year, 3 tournaments, we reached the semifinals against England. Turgeman was part of all of these teams. Gloch also, except of the under 20 World Cup. Roy Revivo was part of all of these teams. Stav Lemkin, that I just mentioned, was part of all of these teams. And when you look on the full picture, most def, if we waited for a golden generation, I wouldn't say it's a golden, because in Israel it doesn't get gold. Maybe it's a silver, but yeah, it's the most talented generation that we had since Eyal Berkovic and Chaim Revivo and Yossi Benayoun in the end of the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s. Yes.
Brilliant, thank you. I was going to ask, for some reason, as Rangers fans, we seem to always concern ourselves with what our players are getting paid. Some of our players make not too much, but some of our players make a lot, and we sometimes find that the players that make a lot don't play very well or don't play very often for us. So we always look to make sure that we're getting good value for our players when it comes to the fans. Do you know what his salary expectations will be? I mean, how much would we be expecting to pay him per week or per year?
Actually, I haven't seen any number that he's interested in, but maybe you can enlighten me. What did you heard on your side?
Nothing at all.
Not really.
I mean, what is a good salary for a footballer in Israel at the moment?
Well, basically, in Israel, I think the biggest contract in Maccabi Tel Aviv in the past season were 600,000 euros for Eran Zahav. So he was the highest earner. But I believe, I don't know, I guess anything in between this and I don't know how much the highest earner in Rangers nowadays. Who is it? Dessus?
I believe it's Tavernier, the captain. He's meant to be around about kind of 30,000, we believe. So, but that, if it's based on the salary you're given, that's about around about £10,000 per week. We would probably pay one of our kind of reserve players about 10,000 a week. So I'd imagine he's probably coming about somewhere about 15,000 would be a good wage. But I would like to think we'll have things like goal bonuses for him. Obviously, winning leagues and winning trophies will be built into that. I'll pass over to you, Jack.
Yeah, so my next question would just be, we don't actually get much coverage of Israeli football in the UK. So I'd like to know a bit about the league. Obviously, the Scottish games are very physical. There's a lot of teams that are very defensive with a low block. What sort of football gets played in Israel? How would you compare it standard-wise to Scottish football?
Yeah, it's very, very different. It's a different style. It's less physical, but not less contact. Okay, you know, there is a lot of physical contact in the game, but it's less physical, and it's more technical. The players here, most of the players are basically or attacking players or past attacking players that weren't good enough to play attack, so they play defense. Okay, this is the state of mind. Unfortunately for me, I'm saying, you know, one of our biggest disadvantages, also, you know, dreaming about making it to a big tournament once, we are not growing enough defensive players. Not at all. It's less. I don't know why. Maybe it's part of the education. People believe it's less sexy. I don't know. It's less attractive. You know, something. Maybe it's cultural. Every kid here thinks he's Ronaldinho or Messi or whatever. No, we need to reappreciate the hard workers, and I think this is something that we are missing. So I would say the biggest difference between Israeli football and Scottish football is the technique. Here, many players are very technical. They are good with the ball, and many players like to have the ball in the feet, and many players like to touch the ball too much also. But I think that Turgeman is an exception because he really knows when to touch less, when to have this simple flick just to move the ball on the right and then go beyond the defender, take the ball and kick strong, shot the ball to produce a strong shot on the ball. And in this manner, this is why he's a candidate to sign with Rangers, because he's far more intelligent than 99% of the strikers and forwards that we have in the league.
Well, thank you. I'm going to just bring in some questions from people that are watching just now. I'll bring this question in as one. I'll merge two questions. So the first one was from Mitch here. Is Dor the kind of player that plays with high pace and press style, but also does Dor play better as a lone striker or with a partner? So does he play better with two people next to him, or is 4-3-3 or 4-4-2? Where would you see his best kind of position lies?
Yeah, I think he used to play as a long striker, and as I said, he used to go down and make some spaces and then connect. So basically, he's a lone striker, but he communicates very well with the wingers. So I think that the system in Rangers wouldn't be so different from what it is now with Dessers. It's just it's practically the same. I would say the same. Operation function that the club needs, that the team needs, but he obviously he plays alone. He's a lone striker in his nature, yeah. But it doesn't mean he cannot play well. Basically, in the end of the season, throughout the whole season, all Maccabi fans and the journalists and everyone talk. How can Dor Turgeman and Eren Zahavi play together? And eventually they made it, and they won the title, and they found the right balance between the two. But Turgeman was the first choice striker throughout the whole season, and Maccabi played in a very, I would say, flexible 4-3-3 that in some stages went to 3-6-1 with him being the long striker. And Lazetic is a very I would say creative manager in terms of formations. But I think that I wouldn't base a professional assumption on the formation of his ex-team. Eventually, a player is coming and needs to adapt. He needs to learn. He needs to understand his teammates. It doesn't matter if it's another striker, another winger. It's a new working environment. It's for a predator for goals as Dor Turgeman. He will have to learn. He will need to learn very hard, and it's not going to be easy. It's a new league. It's a new football. It's a new coach. It's a new system. Again, he's not a big talker. Yeah, he's not like he's not a this kind of dressing room hit kind of footballer. But he'll need he will have to do his homework if you want to adapt fast and to have a quick impact. Eventually, this is we speak about formations all the time, but I think it was Maurizio Sarri, ex-Napoli coach, that said formations are for people who doesn't understand football. Eventually, a coach just look at which available players he has, and he tried to do the best to get the best out of each one of them. So I think if Rangers will give Turgeman the time to adapt and learn, they will learn a great striker for sure.
Brilliant. You've led me on nicely here with what's going to ask here. Would they benefit from experience with a more experienced striker? Obviously, he's a young man. He is only 21 years old. There is a rumour kicking about that Jamie Vardy is rumoured to be going to Ibrox, which is controversial because he is 39 years old. He's old enough to be Turgeman's dad, which would be crazy. Yeah. But would they benefit from having an experience? Obviously, he's played under the experienced manager who's developed him and brought him on. Would it help him now to work with a more experienced striker and learn from him?
For sure, he will benefit from playing alongside Jamie Vardy. As I said, he did it perfectly with Eren Zahavi. But I would say one thing about Turgeman. Turgeman is very confident in himself. His self-confidence is very high. For him, he will give respect to anyone. Yeah, especially a player like Vardy, won the Premier League, played Champions League football, England national teams, everything, and a massive striker, right? But Turgeman thinks he should start every game. This is the mindset of the guy. I wouldn't say he's an arrogant guy, but this is what he thinks of himself.
Yeah, not got any problems with that. Somebody with confidence is what we've been needing there. This is just a quick question from Paul. This is something that happens quite commonly in Scotland. Can Turgeman cope with playing with the weather conditions? So snow, rain, wind and rain. Israel is a very different country from Scotland. In Scotland, we see rain, we see snow. It is very, very cold here on occasion. And we did have a player come to us last year from America who who decided it was too cold and didn't want to be here anymore, and he left. So one, can he cope with obviously the difference in the temperature and the climate, but two, also, has he started to learn to speak English? Can you tell us anything about that? Is he actually able to get a grasp of the language? Because that might be something that obviously holds him back, and that could be difficult for him as well.
For sure. English, you will need to also, I think with the Scottish accent, you will need a translator in the first weeks.
100%.
Sorry,
100%.
I'm not trying to be unpolite or
No,
something.
I completely agree.
He barely speaks fluent English, yeah. No, he can speak English, I think, for the game and for, orders from the coach and some instructions, yeah. The football language eventually, yeah. So it's everyone knows it. But I think, I think you are right. This would be it would be key in his adaptment to Rangers and to Glasgow and to in Scottish football. If he'll have someone to speak to, if he'll have someone to to rely on, and someone who will help him with the English, and I really hope he will take a teacher to speak like maybe if not a native, so at least in a professional manner that will help him also to live a fine life in Glasgow as much as he can while doing and giving 100% on the pitch. Yeah, it's important, very important, because I remember him as a young lad, in the under-21 national team. His Hebrew wasn't perfect, so I guess he needs to work also on his English. But yeah, you want to play abroad, you want to be a professional in Europe. This is what it takes. Do it. I would say one thing on the weather, though. In the past season, Maccabi Tel Aviv played the Europa League stage, and they played also in Norway against
Oh my God.
So I think that in terms of the test, he passed the test. It was good there. It was decent. They won eventually, Bodo Glimt, but he already gained some experience. Also, he was very good in the Under-20 World Cup in Argentina that was held in the winter. So I think eventually he's a killer in the field. I don't think weather is something that will interrupt him to execute and to contribute his regular normal form.
Great to hear. Jack, have you got any more questions?
Just a final quick one, Yuri. If you had to compare him to one player, one other striker, who would you say he's most similar to that would be well known?
Well, he got the size and got the shot. I think he need to improve his finishing. Also, his heading ability can be more lethal, I would reckon, but he's highly technical and lethal, I think.
I know it's a tough one to just spring on you.
It's a tough one. Yeah, I think I'm trying to find also a good example for you. I wouldn't say it's Samara's style. Yes, Samaras was very big, was very tall. So Turgeman is not so tall, but I think Samaras also had this smart touch and smart technical touch. I think Turgeman is similar in that. Even if I'm, flying off the roof, he's some kind of, I would say, an Adriano, okay? Brazilian Adriano, who can also had the strength, also had the technique, also had a strong shot on the ball. So only, I think, in the heading and the finishing, if Turgeman will improve that throughout the season, hopefully we'll go head to head with Celtic on the title, and in the right moment and the right time, he will be there to explode. And when he explodes, the crowd loves it, everyone loves it, and you just look at him and say, man, it's a perfect striker.
Perfect, thank you.
Brilliant. And I've just got one last question here from the floor already. So we understand that Maccabi Tel Aviv, they've actually already signed a replacement striker for approximately £1.5 million. So the replacement is actually already in the building. So we're hoping that this actually can now get done quickly. So we're not actually having to now wait for Maccabi to actually sign a replacement striker. They're ready to do business, if you like. Is that your understanding of it as well?
Yeah. That's official. We must put this in the right framing. Eran Zahavi also left Maccabi Tel Aviv, so basically they need to sign a striker anyway. But they signed Yon Nicolaescu, who already played in Israel for Beitar Jerusalem, and he was very successful here. He moved to Heerenveen in Holland. He's the striker of the Moldova national team, the top scorer of the Moldova national team in history, 17 goals. He's a quality striker, very different from Turgeman. He's not Turgeman at all. He's more like a one-touch striker, a poacher, if you would like. But yeah, Maccabi, as I said, they are down to do business. They signed one strike. They will sign another one for sure. They want to close a deal, as we said here, between 575 million euros to 650 million euros. I think it will be the right price for Turgeman to sign in Rangers.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you for your time today. Can you let
Sure.
our followers know where can they find you? Are you most active on X or Instagram? Where's the best place to see you?
Yeah, I think Twitter is where I waste my time the most usually. So it's at Levininho with HO in the end. And also you can follow my website Babagol, where we cover predominantly Middle Eastern football, Israeli football, Palestinian football, Egyptian, Saudi, everything about the Middle East you can find in our website. And feel free to DM if you have any questions, Twitter, Instagram, wherever.
Thank you very much for your time. And just one last wee thing for our sponsors as well. So you can get a 10% discount when you use the code Journal10 at the checkout at Off to the Match I Go. If you're looking for a wee treat, something for the family, somebody's birthday's coming up, you know where to go. And that leaves me there. Jack, thanks for your time as well today, mate. Your debut, I believe.
Yep, thank you. Happy to
Absolutely.
be here. Very, very good conversation. Thank you.
Well done.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, thanks very much. Well, thanks everyone that tuned in. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And always remember that every night is a Rangers Journal night. Thank you.